fabulous. Something's going to happen that's going to change because you're never meant to just stay stagnant. You will, whether aware or non-aware, you will create a shift. You will, and sometimes if you're not aware, it's going to go, you're going to lose the very thing that you created. Because you have to be able to create. It's like ingrained in you that you must be able to create.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense too. And let me put my thoughts together here. So many big concepts that I want to make more kind of digestible in a podcast episode. You said that we have multiple destinies, and that wasn't something I've heard before. One of the things that stuck with me from when I was first introduced to all of this, I'll say universe stuff and like energy and all of that, is your desires are your destiny. So I think that's still maybe applicable even if you have multiple destinies. So for example, what really stuck with me is I have the desire to be a content creator, to have a community, I have like a lot of things that I want to do. And I just feel that in my heart, like that is what I'm meant to do and whatever. And I feel like it is my quote unquote destiny because I desire that and don't desire something else that somebody else wants to have. So it makes more sense to me that if I want it, it must be for me because I don't want to be a painter. I don't want to be a construction worker. And that's other people's destinies. Does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. So, and then when you say multiple destinies, I don't know if you're just using that word because that's what people say is destinies. If you have another word for it, like meaning or goal, whatever you think. I don't know if I actually formulated a question there, but I'm curious what your thoughts are.
So prior to those 3 weeks, I believed that there was a storyline to your life because that's what I had been taught. That there's a storyline and your job is to stay in alignment to that story so that you could follow your destiny. And then I was mind blown to learn that you create it. So that was one, that you are the creator of your story and that your story can change whenever you want because there's an endless amount of destinies that you can create. And the easiest thing to do when you're like, but then where do I go? Follow your joy. So follow what excites you. Those are the inspired actions. Follow the things that, like you just said, I want to create content. So I guarantee you that when you're creating content, hours could go by and you would be like, can I do more? Can I spend a day doing it instead? So you're following what excites you. And this is currently the story that you are creating along the way. And then when you get to a certain crossroad, you can go one other direction. Let's say you stop following what excites you and you go completely against what your body tells you should do and your instincts. Well, you just created another story. It doesn't make it good, bad. It's just another story. And if you want to create instead and be in your abundance, follow what feels good. And you're going to be creating in endless opportunities because you're doing it in a way that feels good. So I don't know if the right word is destiny or not, but it's different than the belief that there's some line of your life that you are supposed to follow, and that when you're not in this line, you are out of alignment. It's like literally standing at a road that's not paved yet, and every step you're taking, you're paving it. You're literally creating it. And you can go all kinds of ways in this road, and there's that side road and this road and that road, and all of them can be okay. There are multiple destinies. You created every single day. Literally every single day, every single moment, you're creating it.
Yeah. I love that visual too. That's really cool. And I think I'm going to steal that.
Yes.
And I think a lot of it, a lot of it is, that we look for instant gratification. whether it be happiness or just manifesting and everything. So when you're trying to manifest, so let's just do an example again. If you're trying to manifest a new job, and you don't see the job pop up right away, or you don't make a networking connection that feels promising, like nothing is really showing, how do you keep going? How do you feel like you are on the right track? Because for me, I'll use actually my example. I am pushing very hard on TikTok, trying to like get followers and whatever. And what I try and do is like, okay, I need one more follower if I'm going to get 100,000 followers. So I'm trying to be happy with every new follower. I'm like, I got to get more, or I got to get one before I can get two for, you know. So that's kind of how I push myself to keep going. But I won't lie, even though I do believe all of this stuff, it's hard to believe that if this is meant for me, if this is what I want, why isn't it working out yet? So it's just an instant gratification issue. So how do you help somebody? I feel like there's a lot of answers to this, especially like going back to what we were saying earlier about being grateful and everything. But if somebody is looking for that new job and it's not coming up, how would you help them through that? What would you say?
Yeah, I would. Okay, so there's a few things to this. Number one, just how do I word this? Just know when it does feel like you're pushing and when it does feel hard, that's usually an indicator of, do I need to pause? Have I taken control? And I'm going against my spirit. And because I'm going against my spirit, it feels harder than it should be. There's always multiple ways to do the same thing. So keep that in mind. There's never a should and there's never one way. So just keep that in the back of your head. Um, the second thing is, let's go back to the work example. So I actually have exactly this in my real life as an example. Before those 3 weeks of meditation is when I started to realize that thoughts could create. I got to that time where I said, all right, universe, I'm ready for direct downloads, because that's what I wanted. I had felt like I had maximized my learning from other humans, and I wanted to just be taken on the ride of the universe and be learning directly. I wanted direct knowledge because I knew if I got it directly, then I didn't get the human translation of it. I got the direct knowledge. But before then, I had done a lot of work and unpeeling layers and meditation and breath work. I was already practicing in as a hypnotherapist, and I was starting to realize that thoughts create. Okay, so one of the first most significant in my life things that I created when that happened was I wanted work that was very flexible. I was surfing, so I wanted to be able to surf, and I wanted to be able to get, whatever work I was doing at the time. I wanted to do copywriting and kind of community management. I wanted to feel really passionate about it. Um, I wanted a full time salary at part time hours. And I did not want anyone to tell me what hours those needed to be. I wanted to be like, I'll fit them in. Don't tell me to be on from 9 to 5. I'll fit it in. And I was in marketing. And that is not in reality how that works. So there was somebody in my life who was like, we're in the same field. It doesn't work like that. Like, you need to be on, you need this, that. Like, it all sounds nice, but this is just not how it works. At the time, I had a job I hated, like I was not making the money that I needed to make. I could not just go surfing. I still actually had to do my work that I didn't like, that wasn't even paying me sufficient. So I couldn't even like enjoy my life the way I was enjoying it. So my reality was showing complete opposite. So it's the same relatable example to what you're talking about. I had to stop talking to the people stop talking to that person who was trying to tell me it can't be so. So that was number one. Number two, I had to find contentment. You have to find contentment in where you are. You have to get to the frequency of what you're trying to create. So I asked myself, that version of me, how does she live? How does she live life? Yeah, I got this reality stuff, this the complete opposite. But how does that person live life? Oh, that person goes surf in the morning and then they do a couple hours of work. Okay, I can't do that every day, but can I choose one day where I could live as if she lives? And so I made Wednesday my day. I called it my day of defiance of reality. And so it was every Wednesday I defied reality. And I would go surfing in the morning and I would come back and I'd take my time and then I would do a couple hours of work. And I would then in the afternoon, I would celebrate in some way. And so I started to replicate how does that person live? And then I was always in my practices. So I was more in that version of myself than I was in my current reality. And when I did that within a month or two, I was living my manifestation. Like it unfolded into my life. What I had been told that was impossible was totally possible. And I was surfing in the morning. I was working 3, 4 hours a day. I was getting paid full-time salary for part-time hours, doing work that I was super passionate about. So it's is was literally two things: find contentment and live as much as you can, even if it's one day a week, of how that version of yourself would live. And then be in your
That
practices. That always has to go in the background. Like without saying, you have to be in your practices. The
mhm.
practices are what keeps you consistent and in that frequency that you want to be in.
That's amazing. I love that. I was a copywriter too. And
Yeah.
that was kind of the thing. It was like you never know, and that's like a big thing to take away is like you have to let go of the how things are going to work out. And another thing that stuck with me that I refer back to all the time is like right now, the house I'm in, the man I'm married to, the car I drive, like pretty much anything, I could not have made it work out that way myself because I wouldn't have been able to put all the dots together. So I look back, I'm like, I never knew how I was going to get here. So why would I think that I can figure out how I'm going to get there? And kind of like what you were saying is like, if there is resistance, like I still can't just assume TikTok is going to be the reason that I get to where I'm actually wanting to go. And back to what I was saying before, like the copywriting, I didn't want to work for somebody. I've just never been a person that likes to do that. I've changed jobs a lot because whatever. And freelance writing came up. Nobody taught me about that. Never knew it was a thing. So that opened the door for me to be able to do that. And so it just, if you're listening and you feel like you have no idea how you're going to land that job or get that house or whatever it may be, travel to Europe, if you're in every day, if you're grateful every day, if you're noticing every day that you have these good things and you live out what you want, you can't plan it. It's just impossible to plan it. And I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, and a lot of people who talk about manifesting and everything talk about living the life that you want to live. How would that person wake up? How would that person, talk? What would they eat? What would they wear? And I had Allie Ninfo on. I don't know if you know who that is. She talks about, she's like an intuitive healer, manifesting coach. And she said that who she wanted to be, that person shopped at Whole Foods and she couldn't afford a lot of groceries, but she went and got a banana. And
Mm-hmm.
she's like, that is what I did. And so is that kind of your thought process too? Because I think a lot of people will be like, well, I can't live this life. My goal is to go to live in Europe. How am I going to do that every day? So, like, what is a realistic way for people to live out what they want to create when they don't have it yet?
Yeah, you find ways. So just as she said, she went to Whole Foods, she bought a banana. I wanted to be able to take my kids and to a restaurant and have them order whatever they wanted, and at the time when I was creating all this, I was part of it. And so on that Wednesday, the other thing that we did, we'd go to In-N-Out drive-through, because at the time that's what I could do, but here's actually a very, very important detail. I could have done all those things and been frustrated and annoyed and why am I not getting it? And it wouldn't have gotten the same result. The baseline is the feeling. What is it? It's not about the things, it's not about the destination. what's the feeling that you're actually